Hello, everybody. It is the AA Fantasy Football Podcast. We are coming to you mildly live on August 25th. It's about 10 after 8 in the evening. A little bit of a nightcap episode here with AJ and myself. Alan is not with us this evening. He is doing husband things tonight. AJ, you're not doing husband things. How are you?
No, I am committed to many relationships. One being with fantasy football and this podcast, as well as being a husband, father. Wannabe, whatever.
Sure.
Otherwise, I'm good. It's good to see your face. Your
Nice to see yours.
sun-kissed face.
How's the tan line looking underneath this hat here?
It matches the walls.
There's a line, it's a 1-inch line. For those who, all of you who can't see me, I'm a
some of you
golfer who
will.
I'm a golfer who likes to wear hats that have the little half moon coming across, and it's backwards, and it just looks atrocious right now. So I have to keep this thing covered up for society.
It looks great.
Yeah, I'm good. Also, we have school next week.
Yes.
So,
well,
yes.
yeah. Today is technically day one but I don't have to do anything until Monday
On the elementary level. Oh, you mean for
ourselves?
Kent State. Yes,
for ourselves. Yeah. But yes, not next week for elementary. Well, technically elementary, but I guess they don't count kindergarten. So Jordan does not start until day after Labor Day. So he's still got a week.
Miles is not in yet.
Mm-mm.
No, he's got another year for preschool.
Next year he'll be in pre-K for the first time.
Fantastic.
It's getting old,
aren't we all?
Yes, we.
I played a game of kickball yesterday, and my hips are just like they're not clicking; hips. They're just incredibly tight.
Yeah,
like I'm sitting as straight as possible, like underneath where the camera is, so I can just try to breathe a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It's
not fun. Don't turn 30, kids.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of injuries, how about we lead into the news here? Couple headlines for all of you. We're going to start with the injury to Tyron Smith, the Cowboys left tackle, who tore his left hamstring during Wednesday's practice. He left the practice under his own power, which is good news, without a noticeable limp. The problem still is that it's a hamstring injury. It is arguably the most tedious muscle to heal on the human body, and he's probably going to miss a couple of months. I think it's a big blow to Dallas.
I think they ruled him out for the year. I'm almost positive.
I will check that right now.
But either way, I feel like he might. It could be sidelined several months. So essentially, almost all of the year, if not all the year. And that I actually was just finalizing ranks, but they're never going to be finalized because things change all the time. Like this. I just moved Zeke up in my rankings before I knew this. So now I'm like, well, got to put him right back down. It does make me a little nervous. I need more time to think about it. Like who it makes me more nervous about production-wise, Dak and CeeDee Lamb or Zeke? I don't know.
Well, who did you move Elliott ahead of prior to the injury?
Fournette and Chubb.
Okay, I would keep.
These are PPR rankings, by the way.
Okay.
So.
Well, then I would still keep him ahead of Chubb.
Yeah, but either way, it needs addressed because of the injury. It is a significant person to lose on your line as Tyron Smith.
So everything I'm seeing is that they're unsure as to whether or not it might be the end of the season for him. People within the locker room in Dallas are hopeful that he will return here in 2022. But what a blow!
Huge.
We're talking about a two-time All-Star, and realistically, a tackle that can, like you said, you're not sure who it's going to affect more, which means he can block the pass and the run effectively. He's an all-around fantastic tackle.
I mean, he's the second best tackle in the league behind Trent Williams.
Yeah. It's a shame to see. Regardless of it being a Cowboy, you don't want this. You want the best players on the field, and This isn't a dislikable Dallas roster like back in the day when they had, some characters.
Yeah,
Like Dak's a likable guy, Zeke is a likable guy. He has no
especially
hands,
around here.
of course.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a blow. I we'll see.
I did
I
see
think
that.
Dallas will. I think Dallas will still be fine. They'll see what they can replace him with.
Yeah, I did see it, but they also lost Lyle Collins last year, their other tackle. So now they're going into this year without both tackles that they had last year. After that injury, I saw that the Eagles overtook them in Vegas odds to win the division. So,
did the Jets end up signing that left tackle that we discussed a few episodes ago? Forget the man's name. He was a Seahawk last year. He played all 16.
Yeah, I remember what you were talking about.
His name is eluding me right now. If not,
Dwayne Brown.
If he's available, and if I'm Dwayne Brown, I'd rather go to the Cowboys than the Jets.
Yeah, he signed a 2-year deal with the Jets, so he'll be 37 this year. Like at
that
the
was
end,
the breaks, Cowboys fans.
Stuff.
Moving on, Gino Smith named the starter for Seattle's final preseason game against said Cowboys as the quarterback battle in Seattle trudges on. I think everybody at this point is expecting Gino to be the starter in Seattle. I've been leaning that way since day one. I've never really been a massive Drew Lock fan from his time in Denver, and Gino Smith seems to have that locker room supporting him as well. Pete Carroll's no rookie either. He knows what camaraderie looks like in a locker room and what will gel, even if the talent isn't there. I mean, he's going to talk it up, and he got Drew Lock in on the trade.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts? There's not much to this, I don't think.
So the Seattle line is terrible. Do you really want to put a guy who's trying to make a career like Drew Lock? He's still trying to make it happen. I think he's only 25, 26 years old, so he can still end up being a starter. But Gino is, he's just a more seasoned veteran who knows what to do, can get rid of the ball, doesn't make as many mistakes as Drew Lock, for sure. So I feel like you just got to go with that. If it starts not working out, you make the switch. It's not like you're locked into whoever you decide to put there.
Right. What are they competing for this year?
The number one pick.
The top 5. Yeah. Top 3.
That's the goal.
From Chicago and
maybe the
most scrubs here.
Most carries by a team, maybe, between Penny and Walker.
That's right. Yeah, God, I feel bad for DK Metcalf, don't you?
Yes. I wish he would. I mean, I don't feel that bad. He got a big bag this offseason. But yeah, it would be nice if he pushed his way out of there and went. I actually feel maybe a little worse for Tyler Lockett because he's getting old quick. Like, he's not old, but I think he's 29. So it'd be nice for him to. I mean, he probably got a ring though, right? Wasn't he on that team? Wasn't that long ago?
Against Denver when they beat the Broncos. He may not have been there.
Maybe not. Didn't they have a more recent one than that? I thought they got 2 while Russ was there.
No, they only have 1. They had 2 appearances.
Oh, okay. I thought they went 3-1-2.
Well, if they handed the ball off, Lockett definitely would have had 1.
You know what? I think maybe that's what the problem is in my head. I'm visualizing how it should have gone and not how it actually went.
So if this Wikipedia tells me anything, he has nothing.
Yeah. Well, then I feel bad because he's aging. He should go, he should try to get somewhere. Maybe they'll trade him at the deadline or something.
Where'd he go to college?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a tough one.
It is Kansas State.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that.
Go Wildcats.
Yeah.
What's next? What do we have next here? Oh, yeah, this was sad and cool to see at the same time. Shakeem Griffin, the linebacker who carved a career out with one hand.
Yeah.
One hand. And really no wrist either. He announced his retirement on Wednesday. He was drafted by the Seahawks. I think that was in 2017. I think he's been out of the league or a free
Couple
agent, I
years.
should say, for about 2 years now.
Mhm.
46 career games, 25 tackles, and 1 sack. Man brought down a quarterback with one hand.
Yeah, a pro athlete.
Yeah, he's like a true pro athlete.
You know he's absolutely influenced kids.
God.
I mean, have you seen that one kid? He's a high school basketball player, one arm, and I think he has like just past the elbow on the other arm.
Is he a white boy?
I don't know. I think he might be Hispanic or mixed.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I
think I've seen highlights of him.
He has a D1 deal with a school. I can't remember where it is.
Really?
But that's how like one-handed in basketball is pretty absurd. I can't remember his name, but
I'm going to the internet here real quick.
I guarantee he's been influenced by Shakeem Griffin in some way. Like, hey, when he was 9, he saw Shakeem Griffin out there with one arm, and he was probably like, I could do that.
Talking about Jacob Crespin?
No, definitely not.
Okay, because he has one hand and he played for Florida.
No, he hasn't. He's not in college yet. He's still in high school.
Okay. Maybe it's Sidney Ring?
No, I found him already. Hansel Emmanuel. So
Hispanic indeed.
Yeah, I think he's Hispanic, yes. He is.
Here he is.
He's absurd. Actually, he does not have. It's barely. It's like halfway down the bicep. So it's truly one arm. Like he can't even use the other as a support.
Right.
So
yeah, I see he has an offer from Tennessee State here.
Yeah. So.
Oh wow! Yeah, it's.
He's awesome. Also,
nothing.
If you watch some highlight, I mean, he's like doing windmills with one. Like it's absurd. So, but that's beside the point. Other than, I'm sure that someone like that, gives inspiration to people. So, shout out Shaquem Griffin.
And a quick shout out here to close out the news: the passing of Lenny Dawson, dead at the age of 87, the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Cleveland Browns. Prior to his time in Kansas City, he was I believe he was the first Super Bowl champion, if I have that correct, with the Kansas City Chiefs in 1 and 2.
I thought the Packers won the first one, but I don't know. Bad history.
Oh no, Super Bowl 4. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Super Bowl champion in Super Bowl 4, and the MVP in that Super Bowl as well. Had a career spanning 18 years in the NFL, threw for 239 touchdowns and over 28,000 passing yards in a league that did not throw the ball.
Right. He's Hall of Fame, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Alliance born.
I
didn't know that.
There you go.
Shit. Yeah. And do you want to talk about what happened today between the Rams and the Bengals?
Sure.
Let's touch on it. So Aaron Donald swung his helmet. There was a kerfuffle, a skirmish, a wallop, if you will, and Aaron Donald managed to get his hands on 2 Cincinnati Bengals helmets at one time, and now we're only speculating here, but I assume he was wielding them like they were machetes at Cincinnati players. But we cannot confirm this here at AA Fantasy Football. So, AJ, your thoughts on this? Obviously, as Browns fans, we get PTSD with Myles Garrett and what happened with Mason Rudolph on that Thursday night game. But what are your thoughts on this incident?
So maybe I should cover up the logo on the hat, because maybe I won't sound like too much of a Browns fan because I don't have a huge issue whether this man is disciplined or not. But I will say, in a funny way, it's funny that he has 2 helmets, just kind of proving that he is also a better defensive lineman than Myles Garrett. I love Myles.
That's right.
I love Myles, but Aaron Donald.
Let's not get anything twisted here.
He is twice as good, 2 helmet. Not really, but Aaron Donald, one of the greatest defensive players in football history. Not any shot at Myles Garrett for not being as good as maybe the best player on defense ever, if not maybe top 3.
That's right.
Lawrence Taylor has a discussion to have there, but It is what it is. You filled me in. I didn't know that it makes no sense that the NFL has no jurisdiction over a two NFL team practice, but it is what it is. The NFL rulebook doesn't really make much sense at all ever. So what's a catch?
What's
Nobody
a catch?
knows.
Thank
Oh,
you. Thank you.
hello.
What's Des doing
you haven't
these days?
been on in a while, but we're still right there.
Christ
We're right there.
almighty.
That's all I have to say about it. It's pretty funny to see. I love practice fights, especially between opposite teams. So, and by the way,
we have them all the time. Cleveland had one with Philadelphia earlier this season, in this preseason.
And by
These
the
things
way,
happen. Yes. Yes.
before we were on air here,
Oh yeah,
who puts the Super Bowl matchup in a joint practice before the year starts? I mean, those guys gotta hate each other just for. The Bengal. I'm just saying. Like, who
is
would
Eli Apple still a Bengal? I don't
I'm
know.
in fantasy football. I won't know that until I'm doing my week one wide receiver cornerback matchups.
You don't draft average corners?
Yeah, or below
For your fantasy team? You should start a league where you draft 11 to each side.
That would be pretty cool.
Just score metrics on every position.
I would take Trent Williams in the second round. Just get me pancakes all day.
I would take Joel Bitonio.
Not a bad choice.
Round
He's gonna need to do some serious blocking this year.
Yes, he will. All right, so we're on the NFC South here today as we continue on with our divisional previews, and we shall. You want to go in the order that we said earlier?
Yes.
We'll do Tampa, Atlanta, Carolina, New Orleans.
Yes. Before we do, let's plug.
Let us.
If you're not watching the YouTube video, make sure you go to the YouTube AA Fantasy Football. It will be in the description of, if you're listening to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you'll see down below what to search for. If you are watching on YouTube, go and subscribe to the pod and rate it if you enjoy it. 5 stars, please. Follow the TikTok, AA Fantasy Football. Me and Alan are on Twitter as well if you want to talk to us about. I have just finished my top 300 rankings. It's the first time I've done 300 players overall. So if you want to see those, even just to laugh at them or roast me, our Twitters will be down below, whether you're listening to the audio or on YouTube.
I thought you were just doing that ranking for Kevin's dad as just a friendly favor.
Well, I already had the 100 done for the show that I was constantly monitoring. But I know, all the websites, the pro analysts, they do at least a top 300, like Mike Clay on ESPN, he does top 300. Tristan Cockcroft, he does that. Kyle Yates, all those guys. So I figured I'd give it a shot. It was a lot of players. And I'm still, it bugs me every day to look at it because I'm just like, there's always a reason for some guy to go higher or lower. Like in your head, you just make it up. But I really feel pretty confident about like my top 170, which is basically every round that you're going to cover. And I didn't even do kickers or defense. I just did straight skill positions.
It's like the stock market.
Yeah, it is.
It truly is. Especially
today,
this time of year, the volatility.
Tyron Smith, he just affected at least 3 players. You could also include Dalton Schultz. You could include Michael Gallup. You could include Tony Pollard. I mean, everybody could be affected just by that one player today.
Sell.
Yeah.
Don't sell yet.
Maybe sell your over on the Dallas wins. That's about it.
All right, let's really. Let's start with Tampa Bay. And the new look coaching staff here with Todd Bowles coming in after the resignation of Bruce Arians was it in the winter and spring, sometime around then? It was a random time that took place. So Todd Bowles takes over. Byron Leftwich has been retained as the offensive coordinator. This is his 4th year,
which is huge.
It's massive.
He's done a really good job.
We thought for a while that he was going to get the Jacksonville position during the offseason. That obviously
they probably should have 2 years ago.
Yeah, not a lie. Players in for Tampa Bay, they've brought in Russell Gage from Atlanta in the absence of Chris Godwin. We have Rashad White, the draftee from Arizona State, the 3rd round running back, taken He was a highly productive player with Arizona State, with 3 down back there. And they drafted a tight end as well, known as Cade Otton. That's a name I've never heard.
Yeah.
The former Washington Husky. He will be taking over for one of their key departures, which was the future Hall of Famer and Rob Gronkowski. He's decided to retire.
Again.
I will use air quotes on that because Lord only knows we might see him in week 12. And Ronald Jones has taken his talents to Kansas City. AJ,
well,
we'll start with quarterback if you'd like.
There is one addition missing that a lot of people are probably curious about.
Did I omit?
You did.
Who did I omit?
Julio Jones. The hot.
My apologies.
It just happened like a few weeks ago. So
yeah. Damn you, RotoWire.
We will talk about Julio though. Let's talk about the quarterback. I have Tom Brady as QB8 in my rankings. He finished QB3 last year, averaged 22.75 points per game. The reason I'm a little lower on him, there's a few reasons. Their entire interior line is gone from last year. Ali Marpet, awesome guard. He is hurt. I don't even know if he's out for the year or for a while. Ryan Jensen, their center, is out, I think, for the year or close to it. And they lost their other guard. I can't remember the name of the guard, but that's huge. Anytime Tom Brady has struggled, it's been the blitz up the middle. It's never guys outside because he steps up. He loves to step up in the pocket and be protected. He's got probably the best pocket presence of any quarterback ever. And that's not even an exaggeration because most people think he's the GOAT. I'll give him that one. That's one of the reasons. Chris Godwin, you don't know what to expect out of the gate. He's supposedly ready for week 1. His ACL tear, I think, was in November. That was very late. I think he played 14 weeks. I mean, this guy was going into December, and it's not even going to be a full year. I know medicine and therapy is getting better, but he is a route runner, a sure-handed, awesome receiver. And if he wasn't hurt, I would have him ranked higher. We'll get to him in a minute, but him being hurt has me a little nervous. The additions of Russell Gage and Julio Jones, though, do keep Brady on top of him being just awesome. They keep him up in the top 10 for me. He's also historically not great without Gronk. His touchdowns really seem to go down when Gronk's either hurt or, if he misses a whole season or
unavailable.
Retired. Yeah,
right.
Basically. So those are the reasons I have him lower. Not to mention there's some rushing quarterbacks that are coming to the forefront this year as well. But to be QB8, you can get him so late this year. I mean, I wouldn't pass on him if you wait on quarterbacks. So I expect good things from him.
Yeah. In Alan's absence here, he gave me some notes to work off of some information he'd like to convey to the people. And Alan is under the assumption that if you can get Brady around his ADP, it's good business.
Sure.
And
I would agree.
According to RotoWire here, he's currently listed at 10, which is it's within the window, I think, of margin of error.
I've seen him anywhere like 7 to 10.
Yeah.
And he's going like 8th, 9th round. It's actually pretty crazy.
That's the quarterback market in most leagues, though, in reasonable, sensible leagues.
And there's also like the tiny gut feeling with Brady that he has to hit a wall at some point. He's 45. Like it's gotta go down a little bit at some point. Well, might not be this year, but
can we? Well, let's have the conversation. I mean, we're of age where things are starting to hurt in our sleep.
Yeah,
and we're 32 respectively.
Wake up and can't straighten my back out.
Yeah. Why is my ankle locked up? So, okay. So what's it going to be with Brady? Is he going to get hit? Is his elbow just going to say nah? Like, is he just going to get a dead arm and that'll be the end of it?
That's
mid-season?
Another thing. How is his shoulder and his elbow? Like, I don't...
Shoulder.
And
shoulder especially.
It's not like he's been a low-volume passer. I mean, he's hugely up there on top with pass attempts. I know he's not chucking it 30 yards every pass, but, like, come on.
Did you say pass attempts?
Yeah, a pass. Exactly. Tampa Bay.
Can't get the man out of your mind.
But yeah, I mean, this guy, I don't know. I don't know what it'll be. I mean, he has torn an ACL, and that was like 17 years
That's
ago.
right. Yes, that's right.
It's like, it's really not. I think it was like,
Hey,
it actually was 15 years ago. I think it was 2007 or 2008.
7. It was 7, I believe.
I
Yeah.
think 07 was the undefeated year. That was Eli's Super Bowl. So I think
Matt
it was
Cat.
the
He
following
made
year,
Matt
08.
Castle a very rich man.
Wait, Matt Castle made himself a rich man. He went 11 and
That's
5.
fair.
11
That's
and
fair.
5 with Matt Castle. So I don't want to
That's
hear.
fair.
But yeah, Brady, where he's going in his ADP, 8th round, 9th round, and if you're in like a really smart league that really waits on quarterbacks, he could go even later, and it's tremendous value.
Let's move on to the running backs then, where Leonard Fournette is the feature back again this year for Tampa Bay. Backing him up is Rachaad White and Keyshawn Vaughn. Fourth string Giovanni Bernard. Huh.
Yeah, I think Gio Bernard will be probably 3rd string ahead of Keyshawn Vaughn. But yeah, Leonard Fournette's kind of a volatile player this year. A lot of people are worried about, Fat Lenny. He's lazy and he's not coming into anything in shape. I have him as RB14. Last year he finished RB6 and actually RB4 on a points per game basis. So this man was doing it last year. Again, my fear with him, first of all, they have the 31st schedule of ease for running backs. So basically the second hardest schedule in the league. They're missing those interior linemen, so running up the middle, not going to be as easy. The weight concern's a real thing. If he's being lazy, I don't think that'll continue, but it's a thing to add to the cons. And last year, Leonard Fournette had 84 targets out of the backfield. With Rachaad White in town, no shot that's happening. I mean, he is a passing down specialist, Rachaad White. As long as he's blocking for Brady and he has his trust, he's going to be in there when it's shotgun a lot of the time.
His targets damn near doubled from 2020.
Yeah. So for him
the Tampa
to
Bay offense, that is.
I think it's fine having him at RB14. He's a strong RB2 to me with RB1 potential and upside because of what he did last year. But there's just no way, like you said, that to repeat that kind of volume, I just don't think is going to happen. He'll still run the rock plenty. That's why I have him in the top 15. But Rachaad White really adds a whole different dimension. That's why they went and got him in the 3rd round for a running back is almost damn near what 1st round used to be. Like if you take a guy in the 2nd round, that's a 1st round running back these days. 3rd round's like a 2nd round.
Yeah, your valuation on Fournette, I think, is accurate. You're right to drop him down. As far as running the ball is concerned, he ran the ball positively 88% of the time, which puts him in the bottom 3rd of the league. He's not the most effective, consistent runner of the ball, even though he is a bruising back. Yeah. He doesn't find the hole that well. He can't really fit through the gaps, obviously, but he is a bigger guy. That being said, if he doesn't get the receptions, he's not a standard play. I wouldn't touch him in a standard league if I were playing fantasy football. Allen thinks Fournette will be fine, but feels that if he gets tired throughout the year, maybe you'll start to see White come in and take some of the carries away from Fournette.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I think Rachaad White is going to really affect this backfield. And like you said, his volume is just not, in the passing game particularly, is just not going to repeat itself. I just cannot see that. And also, like you said, if he's not a part of the passing game, he's not an efficient runner. He really, even back in Jacksonville, for him to produce, it's all been about volume. He had to have a ton of volume, so like 30 touches to be effective. If they're not as good offensively and they don't have those touches to give to him, that's another thing. Rachaad White, I'll just move to him because it kind of plays into this. I have him as RB49, so not super high, but once you start getting through, the RBs the running backs that get drafted, 49 is actually not that far. Overall, I think I have him. Just bear with me. Lots of guys here. Give me one second. Bearing. Yes. Here he is. Where'd he go? 140 overall. So in a 10-man league, you're at the end of the 14th round. So this is like a late round flyer. Like you believe he could, and that might even be too low. Rachaad White, last year, like you said, productive at Arizona State, first in receiving yards in the nation, second in receptions in the nation. Hello. I just said this guy is going to get the passing work. It's proven. This guy was drafted to get passing work. He can also run, though. You said 3 down back. He was. And if Fournette gets injured, this guy's going to be a league winner. Absolutely.
This is the imagination working here. They don't run this offense. They will never run this offense with Tom Brady. But dual backs, and maybe use Fournette as a blocker, and you bounce him outside.
Sure.
To to give White a little extra, cushion out there, and maybe get an extra seal.
Well, let's
some plays.
Let's sort it out. New head coach. Bruce Arians is not there, so maybe they open it up a little bit. Byron Leftwich gets a little more control over what he wants to do. Guess where Byron Leftwich played a lot? Jacksonville. Guess what Jacksonville used to do a lot? I think I saw Maurice Jones-Drew and Fred Taylor in the backfield together on occasion. So that's not crazy to think that they could do something like that.
That's right.
I mean, let's be honest. So if Rachaad White is good enough and will block on passing downs, he's going to play. There's just no doubt about it.
Let's move on to the receivers, where Mike Evans is still the consensus wide receiver 1 in Tampa Bay. Chris Godwin coming in at 2. Russell Gage, Rashad Perryman, Tyler Johnson, Cyril Grayson, Scotty, I'm faster than Tyreek Hill Miller, still on the team.
And Julio Jones somewhere.
Julio Jones somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably wide receiver 4.
Yeah, probably.
Or 5.
I would say 4.
Yeah, ahead of Perryman.
Yeah, and I'll get to him in a second, but let's talk about Mike Evans. I have him as wide receiver 9. That's where he finished last year. I'm not just copying off of last year, clearly, with my evaluations so far on the positions, but a true model of consistency is Mike Evans. No player in history has started every single season of their career with 1,000 receiving yards except for Mike Evans. Think of all the great wide receivers you've known in history, and the only guy to ever start his career for this many seasons with 1,000+ yards is Mike Evans. We're witnessing, and nobody likes drafting this guy. He's part of the boring squad that you draft and wins you games.
There's no sex appeal with Mike Evans.
No, everybody and the crowd goes mild when you take Mike Evans in the 3rd round every time. But last year, only 4 games in single-digit scoring in PPR formats. So this guy literally is at least 10+ points, even on a bad day. Most of the time, obviously the 4 games. He does have a hammy issue right now, but that feels like I'm going to sit out the rest of the preseason and chill out until you guys need me very badly. The target volume should be absolutely insane for Mike Evans, though, this year, more than any. They also have the second easiest wide receiver schedule in the league. So I like a lot of these receivers. But Mike Evans, obviously the favorite target. I think, and I'll go right into him, Chris Godwin. I think Chris Godwin is more of a Tom Brady receiver than Mike Evans. Runs short to medium routes. That's where Tom loves throwing the ball. He's hit Evans plenty. The chemistry's there. I'm not worried about it. But Godwin is my wide receiver 25. I think he is around wide receiver 25 or 26 in ADP right now. He would easily be top 15 if he didn't have an ACL problem.
Roto has him at 28th.
Okay, so around
in the ballpark.
Close.
Yep.
He would, like I said, he would absolutely be top 15 without an ACL problem. This guy last year finished wide receiver 15 in only 14 games and wide receiver 7 on a points per game basis. He was a top 7 wide receiver last year. If he's healthy from week 1, another league winner, I think. Like, if he looks like Chris Godwin, where he's going in drafts is absurd value.
Yeah, Mike Evans is up there probably with like Maurice Jones-Drew as one of those like fantasy Hall of Famers.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, the crowd goes mild.
Yeah.
Great line, by the way. Never heard that before until 2 minutes ago when you just dropped that on me.
Seriously?
Never heard that before. The crowd goes
okay.
mild.
The crowd.
Yeah. Never heard that before. If I have, I forgot it.
Feel free. It's patent free. You can use it.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna get that into my nomenclature.
You know who I like
very,
to
very shortly.
You know who instead of Maurice Jones-Drew, because he was kind of a star, maybe not on paper, but
Okay.
I think a really good comparable for Mike Evans is like Chris Carson. Like this guy would finish as a top 8 to 10 running back, and nobody would care if you drafted him. It'd be like Chris Carson sucks.
But but nobody ever said Chris Carson puts up like all-timer numbers like Mike Evans is. At least we have the conversation. At least we have the conversation. Basis. Sure. At least we have the conversation about Mike Evans. Like we know he's good, but now we're starting to realize like, hey, maybe there's something to this guy in fantasy football as well. And I've heard more rumblings of that, not just from you as well.
Sure. Well, we see why Johnny Manziel looked so good in college, because Mike Evans was just jumping over top of defenders, saving his life. But yeah, Chris Godwin to pair with Mike Evans. I don't know how Allen feels, but if this guy's full strength early in the season, he is an absurd value. Absurd where he's going. Russell Gage, I have him wide receiver 54. This would go up a little bit if I knew Godwin like wasn't going to play or whatever. I think he holds wide receiver 3 or flex value in PPR. Last year, if he had 7+ targets in a game, I know that's asking a lot, but with the amount that Tom Brady throws, I think he could get three receivers 7 to 10 targets each. If he saw 7 targets at least, Gage averaged 19 points a game in 2021. So if passes are going his way, he's delivering production for you.
Do you want to do a little this or that?
Yeah, absolutely.
With Russell Gage?
Sure.
Russell Gage or Kadarius Toney?
Kadarius Toney. I like his upside more, and I think they could target him more consistently.
Okay. Gage or Allen Lazard?
Lazard. I just think touchdown value is going to be there. He's going to be the guy.
Gage or Olave?
I love Olave. So
okay. All right.
I'll take the chance of Olave.
Roto's got him ranked a little higher than you. They have him at 43. And this is what I base all my fantasy knowledge off of, people.
That's okay. Website. That's okay. Like I said, if somebody told me Godwin was going to miss 6 weeks, like DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona, when we get to the AFC West, I think they're last for us. But like Rondale Moore, I'm really high on because no DeAndre Hopkins. I just think they're going to use him. But Gage would probably be 10 spots higher for me if there was no Godwin. And
all right, so you said you had him at 53?
54.
54, okay. 54 on Roto is Michael Gallup.
Gage or Gallup? I think I'd rather have Gage.
Okay.
Because Gallup has a torn ACL coming in too, so a healing torn ACL, I guess I should say. And then lastly but not least, got to talk about
tight ends.
Well, got to talk about Julio.
Oh,
you
Julio
just
Jones.
Really want to skip over Julio. I mean,
his name's not on the screen.
You have
the ostrich
You also
syndrome.
have every right. I mean, this guy, he's basically been the CMC.
Cleveland didn't look at him either.
The CMC of fantasy with being really super talented but not staying on the field. A lot of people think he could be like the new big red zone threat, kind of play the Gronk role. Maybe not playing tight end, but like that close, tight slot position right off of the line and just fill the seams where Tom Brady easily could throw a high pass, high hands. Julio can go up and get it and score some touchdowns. I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze again. He's been injured almost, in the last few years. He's had so many little injuries that take him out of games. Even if he's played in them, he'll leave them early, or like last year. He just didn't look the same. So I'm not really buying on Julio, but if you want to take him as a late round flyer, there's plenty of worse people you can pick instead of Julio.
Yeah. I'll leave your knowledge at that. I'm not gonna if I'm not gonna think about Julio Jones, I really shouldn't put myself in a place to comment on Julio Jones.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sound like a jamoke.
I mean, I have him at wide receiver 55.
But Allen on the other hand,
yeah,
he says he thinks that Julio could have a good touchdown upside and take the role of what Gronk was at tight end, echoing the sentiments of the other man on this podcast.
That's what a lot of people think. Like he's going to be Gronk, but he's not Gronk. Like, he's just not.
Nobody's Gronk.
He's big. He's tall, but he's not Gronk. Like, we'll see.
Yeah. So what about the gentlemen that have taken over for Rob Gronkowski here? Cameron Brate, Kyle Rudolph, and the rookie Cade Otton. What are your thoughts on these boys?
Zero interest in any single one of them, to be honest. Cameron Brate will fall in the end zone a couple times. Kyle Rudolph probably the same. But you're never going to know when that is, and there's really no consistency. If you are a streamer of tight ends, you don't draft one, and you just play one every week, cycle them in and out, keep an eye on this team. Tom Brady can make anybody good. So if he finds a chemistry with Kyle Rudolph, who has been fantasy relevant in the past, maybe he could be a streamer. As far as drafting one, I'm not interested in this team. Actually, a lot of these teams, most of these teams in this division, I have no interest in their tight ends, other than one significant tight end. But
which we will get to next.
Yes.
Real quick before we get to that team, do the Buccaneers win the division?
I would say so. I think the number one threat to them is the Saints. Honestly, their defense is still pretty good, and they're getting Jameis back. Say what you want about Jameis, but he actually played really well last year before he got hurt. And it seems they're going to have Kamara the whole year. Plus, that receiving core is looking very nice, at least on paper so far.
Sure.
So,
yeah, they were fourth in snaps last year. They're a methodical offense. Tampa is. They're going to chew the clock up and give Brady the best opportunity to win. Offensive line is still ranked second in the league.
Which I find hard to believe since the interior is completely gone. Maybe they don't take that into account.
Yeah, they're still looking at Donovan Smith. They still have Shaq Mason, Tristan Wirfs on the outside on the right.
Yeah.
It's still a pretty good line. I don't know anything about Aaron Stinney or Ryan Jensen. They're new to me.
Jensen's hurt. That's their center.
Oh, he got hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Their line's still fine. I'm just saying, like there are gaps that may cause problems, but they're still probably the favorite.
Let's move on to the Atlanta Falcons here. Arthur Smith and Dave Ragone.
However you want
it. Second year. I've never seen his name before in my life. Arthur Smith, second year coach here. Falcons coming off of a 7-10 season. Not that bad, honestly. I expected Atlanta to be a top 4 pick team coming into this draft. But Matt Ryan is now out.
Yes.
The longtime quarterback for the Falcons. He's gone off to Indianapolis. Russell Gage, as we just talked about, he's with Tampa Bay. In comes Marcus Mariota from the Raiders. He is the new quarterback taking over for Ryan. Falcons pretty active in the draft this year, bringing in quarterback Desmond Ridder as well from Cincinnati. He was a third-round pick. But the big one was Drake London, the big wide receiver from Southern Cal, with the 8th overall pick. A lot of hype surrounding this young man. Damian Williams, the running back coming in from Chicago as well. He averaged 4.6 yards per carry over his last 3 seasons. And Brian Edwards also coming in with Mariota from Las Vegas. AJ will start with Marcus Mariota. We're going to talk about no sex appeal with Mike Evans. What is this?
Mariota's just a backup for a 2 quarterback league.
Yeah.
He, last year, a lot of people, including some people on this podcast, really like to trash Daniel Jones. But last year, he started the first 5 weeks as QB3, kind of came out of the gate shocking people with his rushing and throwing touchdowns. I feel like Mariota could do that. I don't think it's going to be sustainable whatsoever. I'm just saying, I think because he has usable legs, he can run out of the quarterback position. He could provide some fantasy value. I'd also have to see his schedule, but he could be streamer worthy based on the matchup. But I wouldn't even go near him draft wise. Even in a 2 quarterback league, it's just going to be your third guy off the bench in case somebody gets hurt. I do think there is a decent chance Desmond Ridder gets in here maybe halfway through the season if they hit an easy spell in the schedule. He can also run, and he runs better than Mariota, and he's younger. But a lot of people, they always want the rookie quarterback, no matter where they were drafted, could be 5th round. They have this like fantasy dream of like he was
What
drafted.
about the kid?
Exactly.
Got to give the kid a chance.
At 98% of the time, quarterbacks taken outside of the first round don't do well. Like there are obviously exceptions. Russell Wilson, this is the first one that pops to mind, but like
Tom Brady.
Sure. He's just like beyond an exception. I don't even know what he is. An anomaly. But generally, it's first round quarterbacks. So like if you're expecting something out of Ritter, I really wouldn't. But it would be fun to see him go. Either way, I don't think that these quarterbacks are so bad that they hurt fantasy production at other positions other than maybe running back, which we can jump right into. Cordial Patterson, still probably the starter for now. I have him at RB 35. He's going around 32. The ADP has recently climbed a little bit. I think he was like a little too low before. He finished RB 10 in PPR last year. It's the only year he's ever done anything, and he was 30 years old. Like, it was just very weird and not ever really before seen. Very unlikely to be repeated because he was super efficient. He was only getting 10 to 12 carries. He would catch 5 passes and fall into the end zone almost every game. I mean, I think he had a combined 8 or 9 touchdowns. Actually, maybe even 11 touchdowns. I have to look that up, but he was basically like discount Deebo Samuel last year. And the second half of the year, he got worn down. He had way more touches than he's ever had in his career. So I think people were kind of sleeping on him. He'll be productive in the first half of the year, I believe. And then if they can kind of maintain his touch total, I think he could be productive for the whole year. He's still going to line up at receiver. Like, he's not going to just play running back.
You wanted to know his receiving touchdowns?
Touchdown total, rushing and receiving.
He had 11, 6 rushing, 5 receiving.
11. I should know. I had him on like all 4 of my teams last year. But I don't. Cordial Patterson's like, there's always 1 or 2 guys that while you're drafting in fantasy, they're the suggested top guy, like ranked on the website, and they just sit there and next pick, and nobody takes them. This is going to be the guy. I think like you shouldn't be afraid to take him in the 8th or 9th round. Whenever you see him there, like go ahead and take him. It's not a bad bench running back or wide receiver if they give him both positions eligibility. I think
the ultimate flex. That's a flex.
I mean, he is
a true flex.
That is like his position in real life on the field. A lot of people are interested in Tyler Algiere. I like Tyler Algiere. He runs well. I have him at RB 54. It's pretty late, but I don't think his path to getting into that backfield really begins until a little bit into the season, maybe near the end of the season. I think he is going to start as the backup. So if Cordial Patterson gets hurt, which if they use him in so many different ways, there's lots of opportunities for an injury. Not that anybody wants that to happen. He's definitely a late round flyer. And so he'll probably split carries. He'll get some carries to start. I just don't know how long it'll take for him to take over. But last year, he was first in yards after contact and second in rushing touchdowns in college. Actually, over the last 2 years, not just last year. So this guy is a bruiser. Like, he may be their goal line back, and we may have this guy completely wrong, and he can get 8 touchdowns if they're at the goal line and they don't want to throw it with Mariota or Ritter. But a lot of unknown in that backfield, so I think Algiere's worth a flyer.
So Drake London automatically slots into the wide receiver 1 spot with this team. Real quick on Patterson, just Alan's perspective on him. He believes Patterson should be a good ad for the first 6 to 8 weeks, and then believes he's going to taper off as the year goes on, probably under the assumption that his output is going to be high early, given Mariota will probably come out and play a more conservative style, try not to make any mistakes, new home. And he's going to use reliable weapons, tested, tried, and true weapons. But with Drake London, though, we're talking about a potential special talent here. Where are you on him? Where do you have him ranked in the the AJPI.
Yeah, it's not even potential. This guy is special. Like, it's undoubtedly special. I have him at wide receiver 31. I want to put him even higher. I probably will, but it's hard. The few guys I have in front of him, it's hard to really push him up too high because I don't think this offense is going to be very good. I don't know how many touchdowns he could score. Last year, Kyle Pitts didn't score a single touchdown on American soil. Like, they couldn't get him in the end zone. Drake London, he might suffer the same thing. I have a stat here. As I like to say, we do research on this podcast. 9 of 13 rookie wide receivers taken in the top 10 of the NFL drafts since 2011. So in the past 11 years, 9 of 13 rookie wide receivers, if they were taken in the top 10 of the real life drafts, they've finished as top 30 wide receivers in fantasy that year. To summarize,
stat of the day, bop, bop.
So to summarize that in layman's terms, it's if they've drafted you in the top 10, they use you because they intend to use you that year. Like, you don't have to be afraid because it's a rookie unknown situation. Take him. He's going to be used. At USC last year, he only played 8 games. Stat line, 88 receptions, 1,084 yards, and 7 touchdowns in 8 games. He had a 38% target share. This guy saw 40% of passes his way. The highest receivers in the NFL are like 26%. I'm not saying he's going to get 38% with Kyle Pitts on his team. But, like, the only reason to be afraid of this guy is he does have a little bit of an injury history. Ankles,
currently dealing with a knee.
Ankles, knees. Yeah. It's because he's 6'5". Like, tall guys hurt their ankles and knees sometimes. Mike Evans, a hammy every year, a knee every year. He gets so many Mike Evans comparisons, and I agree with that comparison. He's a tall glass of water, let me tell you. But the potential is just unlimited with Drake London, and I would not be afraid. I would be pushing the issue or the effort to draft this guy. I don't think I would reach, but if you like him that much, I wouldn't blame you for it.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch this kid play. I didn't really see much of him as a Trojan, but the film itself, just from minimal film study, it has me excited. It's intriguing. It gives me a reason to watch Atlanta other than Cordial Patterson, which really just doesn't tick the boxes for me.
Oh, well, don't forget about the next guy. Well,
okay.
Well, let's talk about Eddie. I don't want to just talk about Drake London, but he is probably the only receiver that I would have any value in this offense. There's nobody really else you can trust. They have Olamide Zaccheaus. I want to get that one right. Brian Edwards, please. I am interested in seeing how Brian Edwards does. Like, does Mariota have a chemistry with him just because they were together in the same locker room last year? And he has massive talent. I mean, he was a sleeper for both me and Alan last year, and he never broke out because Hunter Renfrow did. And so that'll be interesting to see. I'm not touching anybody else, though, in the wide receiver room. Drake London's my guy. But my real guy is Kyle Pitts. I mean, this guy is like a disgusting freak of a human athlete. There's never been anybody at the position like this guy. And I don't anybody could bring up any name, and there has not been an athlete at the tight end position like this guy. Last year, he's my tight end 3, by the way. I absolutely think he has potential to be the tight end 1. I know people are worried about the quarterback situation, but Matt Ryan wasn't throwing any touchdowns last year. So if that's your big fear, get over it. Kyle Pitts is a freak. Last year, he was the first rookie tight end to break 1,000 yards since Mike Ditka in 1961. Whew. We've had Tony Gonzalez. We've had Antonio Gates. We've had Rob Gronkowski. We've had whoever else you want to say.
Kellen Winslow Sr. Senior.
Sure. Even Junior. He was awesome, but he just never did it.
Yeah, that's right.
There's been so many good tight ends, and not a single one of them had received that many yards. And the tight end was used a lot more back then than it is now, other than the elite ones, with, Kelsey Kittle, Andrews, whoever else you wanted to talk about being elite. This guy's elite. Here's another thing for you. Kyle Pitts, for any tight end in the NFL last year, he had the highest ADOT which was average depth of target, meaning they threw the ball down the field to get this guy the ball. So he's going to break off deep pass plays. He only had 1 touchdown last year. That's the other thing I think people are just terrified. And he did it in the London game. 15 and a half yards per reception. This guy is just a freak. I don't care who's playing quarterback because, yeah, he's going to get missed by a bad quarterback. But the bad quarterback is going to be like, where do I look when I need to throw the ball? And it's going to be at Kyle Pitts because this guy's just a freak. I love him. I would take him in the 3rd round. No hesitation.
The bad quarterback in this case is sitting behind a bad offensive line, a worse offensive line. They did not really improve this line over the offseason. Jake Matthews at left tackle, he's the lone bright spot here. RotoWire has them ranked in at 28th.
So not the worst.
Not the worst.
We'll take it.
No, they are not the worst. Not the worst.
The other thing with London and Pitts, in terms of people being worried about it, maybe the draft capital is too high for them to take them. This team's going to be losing a lot. So even if whatever you think about Marcus Mariota, if he throws the ball 40 times, I want a piece of the 2 best receivers on the team being Pitts and London. So game script is going to go their way.
Yeah. Do you see some between the 2? Who do you foresee maybe getting more garbage time love?
That's a good question. I think probably London, because I think Pitts will just be game planned throughout the entire game, regardless of how it's going. Like, that's your guy.
Pitts will be the more consistent one. As the line breaks down, you get it to the shorter option.
Yeah, I think so. But honestly, he may not be the shorter option with his ADOT being 15, almost 15 yards. But we'll see. I don't think you can go wrong taking either of these guys. I know people hate taking tight end high, but Kelsey's going at the end of the 1st round, start of the 2nd. Andrews is going at the end of the 2nd. If I'm taking a tight end high, it's going to be this one in the 3rd round. I'm going to get my 2 good. Let's say you go running back, wide receiver, in middle of the 3rd round. You can get Pitts. I would not be scared to do that at all.
Alan slightly disagrees with you. He thinks Pitts will be great. Does not feel the need to pay the price tag that it would take to get Pitts.
He had Pitts last year, which is ironic.
Okay.
It was in a 2 quarterback league, so he didn't have to pay like a massive premium. Those drafts go way different, so
that's fair.
And I get it, but
PTSD.
He doesn't like taking tight ends high.
We'll support you, Alan.
He doesn't like taking tight ends high. I don't either, but this is one I'm excited about. I would take him. I have him overall, just to back up, put my money where my mouth is. I have him 33rd overall. So in a 12-man league, that would be near the end of the 3rd. I think he might be going a tad bit higher than that, but if I have like one of those end picks in the 3rd round, 7, 8, 9 in a 12-team league, I would not be afraid to take him there and then take whatever on the way back. You're still going to get high value on that 4th round pick if you're at the end of the 3rd.
Sure. You can get a value running back or good wide receiver.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
And my next guy right after him, just to show you how much I like Kyle Pitts, is Josh Allen. So.
Well, this next team we should be able to blow through fairly quickly. It's the Carolina Panthers, the new look Carolina Panthers. There might be a couple of
some interest
nuggets in here. There's interest, especially from our end, especially with the hat that you're wearing.
Of course.
Matt Rule, the returning head coach in his 3rd year, but a new offensive coordinator in Ben Michael McAdoo.
We do
his
like
first
that.
year
We like
coming
that.
in from his stint with the New York Football Giants. 5-12 last year for the Panthers. Cam Newton on his way out. He's still a free agent. Did not look good in his return last season. Really showed his age. But the Panthers have brought in Baker Mayfield from Cleveland after that long-standing saga on his way out the door. He will. It's almost assured now that he's going to be the starting quarterback here for the Panthers.
He's been named starter.
Has he been named?
Yeah.
Okay. First round pick this year, number 6 overall from North Carolina State, was Ikem Okonwu. I got that right.
You did get that right.
Good offensive tackle here. Strong tackle. Matt Corral, the 3rd round pick from Ole Miss. He is currently the third string quarterback. Dante Freeman has come in from the Tennessee Titans, the running back who backed up Derrick Henry last season. Rashard Higgins has followed Baker Mayfield in from Cleveland. As actually Baker followed him in, I should say, through trade.
Well,
Higgins
they were so
there.
tight in Cleveland. Also,
they were.
It's an interesting pairing there.
And then realistically, too, Baker kind of kept Higgins around on that team. It felt like Higgins was always on the brink of getting cut for reasons unbeknownst. He was always so solid for us.
So talented. But he was always in the doghouse for some reason that we never learned because the coach just would never.
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk.
Let's talk Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, let's talk Baker. So he's my QB 27. Clearly not that high on him. But honestly, I would not be shocked if he finished like QB 20, QB 19, 18, even a mid QB 2, I think is his ceiling. But yeah, he should be drafted in 2 quarterback leagues. I mean, he could be a second quarterback if you feel good and you think, or you like him or whatever, go for it. It's a late QB2. All reports have been pretty good. He's been good in camp. His timing, he's been sharp. He's healthy, which is, we've seen healthy Baker. Like, is actually a good quarterback when he's healthy.
That's the thing here, is a healthy Baker is a QB2.
Yeah.
And a safe QB2 in my estimation.
Honestly, he is.
The concern is that he's really taken a dive here in the quality of the offensive line in front of him. That's my main concern for Baker Mayfield from a football perspective, is what's in front of him. We knew he had happy feet with one of the best offensive lines in the league in front of him.
Well, to be fair,
this man's middle name is Roll Right.
It is, and maybe Matt Rule will have him rolling right, because I think that's what he is. I think that's what he's comfortable doing. To be fair, the Browns' pass protection, like their pass blocking, not as good as their run blocking. I mean, I think they were still in maybe the top third of the league in terms of pass protection, but like it wasn't as elite as their run protection. So it is going to be a tougher time with the line, but I think Matt Rule's offense has Baker getting rid of the ball very quickly and in rhythm, which is where he will succeed. So I think maybe not Baker so much in a fantasy perspective, but his weapons around him, I think, will do more because he is there.
I just want your opinion on this real quick before we move on. With Baker in Cleveland, and I do agree with you that the pass protection from the Browns' offensive line with Baker wasn't up to the same level that it was with the running game.
Sure.
But with blocking, and I don't know anything about blocking. I'm 5'9", 165. But do you think with his happy feet that obviously any offensive lineman has their back to the quarterback, not knowing where Baker may be at any given point, a little happy feet here, a little happy feet there, an end can see that he's maybe shifting a certain way and then get leverage on a lineman to get around him? Does that make it tougher for the offensive line to block when they are not sure where a quarterback may be, given the fact that he likes to take off?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to try and make a pocket for him, regardless of what he's going to do. It's up to him to step up in it or to run out of it. We know he likes to move. He's not. He doesn't have the way you move. He doesn't have the athleticism of Lamar Jackson. Like, he can't just run.
That's a fact.
Towards the sideline every play. Or even like Josh Allen, for that matter. I don't want anybody like, oh, you talked about the black quarterback. Like, no, Josh Allen can run too. Baker Mayfield is not Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson.
I've never seen Baker shit himself on the field either.
That is, well, I don't know. A couple times he was sacked pretty hard. Maybe some came out. Either way, I think this is a fresh start for him. I think he helps the weapons there, and we'll talk about them in a minute. But we got to go to the most important guy, right? This is just a never-ending battle for me to defend Christian McCaffrey till the day I die. This is
the A1 story for fantasy football.
This is the hill I will die on. I will protect CMC forever. He's my RB2. So I've gone back and forth with him and Jonathan Taylor, like constantly. But I think I'm just okay with the safeness of Jonathan Taylor. I do have the first pick in a league this year that I already know of. I will likely be taking Jonathan Taylor, but you never know. If I wake up that day and I feel different, maybe I'll take CMC. Over the last 2 seasons, super small sample size, I get it. He has averaged 28 points per game in fantasy, in PPR. Jonathan Taylor was the RB1 last year, and he averaged 22 points per game. CMC has been getting 6 more points per game than Jonathan Taylor did last year's RB1. Nobody even comes close to this guy except for Derrick Henry in a points per game basis if he's healthy. Also, his injuries are not... It's so hard to define injury prone. Like, what does that even mean? I mean, you play running back. If you break your ankle and you pull a hamstring, that doesn't mean you're injury prone to me. Like, anybody can get their ankle rolled up on. If you pull...
I think the fear with, not to interrupt you, I just think the fear with CMC is that his volume is so high and that he plays at such a hard level, which he does. He has a little Andrew Luck in him in the sense that he will take the contact because he feels like he wants the contact.
But he's also a running back. You can't avoid the contact.
I get it. I totally get that. But my fear, though, like, I thought bringing in Chuba Hubbard last year was one of the best things Carolina could have done. I was high on Chuba Hubbard last year. But I wanted to see them try to use Chuba Hubbard to keep CMC healthy for the long term of the season. Where are you on Hubbard? Do you like his? Do you still like his upside?
No, he's behind Deontay Foreman for me. He was just massively inefficient last year and very unimpressive. I know he was playable in a couple fantasy games when he filled in, but he lost his job to Amir Abdullah in the last 6 weeks of the year. Like, it was just, Chuba's like, whatever. If he's improved, if he's gotten, more in shape, we'll see. But Deontay Foreman, if McCaffrey's out, is my guy.
It's a swing and a miss for me on Hubbard. I thought
it doesn't mean anything. It's just his second year.
I get it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Time.
But
he has time. He's got time.
I see potential. Chuba, if you're listening, shout out.
Chuba. So just CMC, I'm just saying, before the last 2 years, he never missed a game. He never missed a practice. He never was missing time at all. Maybe it's the volume, but he is solidly built, even though he's small. So I don't think it's a body problem. I think he's just been very unfortunate the last 2 years. That's it. Like, last year, he hurt the ankle, and they brought him back. And maybe they brought him back too early, and it got worse. So it's just, I don't know. If you want to take him, take him. If you're willing to take him in the top 3, then you should take. If your mindset is, I don't think I'd let him fall past 3, then you should take him 1. Like, are we just gonna be scared? Like, if you think he's talented and he's awesome, which he is, then you should take him.
He's dynamic. He is the sole reason, as a football fan, for me to watch the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like DJ Moore. I'm curious about Baker Mayfield, but I'm watching the Panthers to watch Christian McCaffrey eat.
So in 2020, he only played 3 games. He averaged 31 points per game in those 3 games. Like, you can't argue with that when he's on the field. I had him that year. You never know how long he's going to be on the field. The last 2 years, I get it. You've been bitten by the guy. I just, whoever has number 2 this year in a lot of drafts, I think is going to be very happy. Let's go to the wide receivers.
Please.
So DJ Moore, I just can't put my finger on if I think he could be elite or if I think he's just a more expensive Brandon Cooks. I am so in the middle on DJ Moore.
Where do you have him?
He's wide receiver 14 for me, so very high. Okay. He finished wide receiver 18 in 2021 with a combination of Sam Darnold and Cam Newton at quarterback. Wide receiver 18. He He had 93 receptions on 163 targets, 1,157 yards, and 4 touchdowns. If Baker Mayfield cannot... So that's kind of where I'm at with Baker, because we have seen him play in Cleveland. He does not really lock on to one guy. Like, every other quarterback that gets behind the Carolina line is looking for DJ Moore. Is Baker going to do that? If so, if he looks at DJ Moore as most quarterbacks that have been there have, DJ Moore could be a top 6 wide receiver this year. But,
well, in fairness to Cleveland, we were a little deeper at receiver than what Baker's going to be dealing with here.
Maybe, but then that kind of proves my point more so, is that he wouldn't focus on Odell. Odell won it out. As soon as Odell went out and went to Matt Stafford, he scored a touchdown every single game.
Understood. But I'm saying Odell and DJ Moore, I would call that a wash talent-wise.
Yeah.
Landry to Robbie Anderson?
Yeah,
I'm taking
Landry.
sure. Landry all day. And then after that, it would have been Higgins against, like...
That's kind of my thing. How many times in games did we see Higgins catching balls and Donovan Peoples-Jones catching balls and Anthony Schwartz catching balls? And we're like, why is Odell not getting thrown to like every single play? And then your tight ends are catching passes. So it's really the offense, I think, was part of it with Stefanski. It's a very safe floor with DJ Moore. There is no problem taking him. I think safe floor, absolutely massive ceiling. I just want to see that ceiling. I want him to get close to that ceiling, because if Baker locks in on DJ Moore, I mean, if DJ Moore had like 7 touchdowns instead of 4 last year, he would have been like wide receiver 7. So it's like, get this guy the ball is all I'm saying. Speaking of Robbie Anderson, he's my wide receiver 67. 2 years removed from a wide receiver 19 finish. This guy was a top 20 receiver 2 years ago. He was like dead asleep for 3/4 of the year last year. And then over the last like 5 or 6 games, he actually was somewhat productive. He's not the worst start though with Baker on the field, because I like to consider Robbie Anderson a downfield threat in ways. I mean, his speed is unbelievable, and Baker throws a great deep ball. I mean, he's like one of the most accurate deep ball throwers in the entire league. Donovan Peoples-Jones was valuable for a few games last year in fantasy because he would hit him constantly on the deep ball. He tried to hit Anthony Schwartz a little bit. He can hit a deep ball. So I'm not drafting Robbie Anderson, but
I'm not touching Robbie Anderson. That man got hit in the numbers so many times last year and couldn't catch shit. I'm good. I'm good.
I don't know what his deal is, because he's super talented.
He is.
Think his head is out of the game.
Dynamic.
Yeah.
Those dreads are wound a little too tight. I don't know.
Yeah. Get a haircut.
Anything else on this receiving core here? Terrace Marshall, Andre Roberts, Higgins? No.
I think Higgins is interesting just because of the relationship with Baker. Like, I think they really like each other, but how that will produce on the field, there's way more options to go with. So you just a wait and see, I guess.
And on the tight end side of things, we have a man named Tommy Tremble. Tommy Tremble. Thomas.
Hey, Baker loved throwing to tight ends, whether that was offensively drawn up that way or not. He found his tight ends in the red zone, so he'll probably fall in the end zone a few times.
Do you have Atlanta or Carolina in the basement of the NFC South?
Oh, the Falcons.
Falcons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carolina's secondary is actually pretty nice. Not pretty nice, but it's getting pretty good. I mean, Jeremy Chin, J.C. Horn will be healthy.
Yeah.
Brian Burns rushing on the left side.
Okay.
Can't even think of any Falcons defensive backs, honestly. So,
speaking of former Browns with Carolina, you know who the kicker is?
Yeah, isn't it Zane?
Zane Gonzalez.
Yeah.
How about that?
All the Browns are there.
Fancy that.
Yeah. Maybe Odell will sign there. That would be fun.
That would be something. God help us. All right. Let's go down to the Bayou. Nolans. Take a look at Dennis Allen's New Orleans Saints here, the first-year coach. retaining offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael in his 14th year with the Saints.
Wow.
Man,
Hey, can I ask you
yes, sir.
what Allen's thoughts on
Oh,
CMC and DJ Moore were?
please. Yeah, I'm neglecting the
Or
second
Baker, for
the
that
second A.
matter, if he said
So
anything.
he's with you on Baker that he might have some QB2 potential in a 2 quarterback league. All he has for Christian McCaffrey is the word dog with
He
a
got that.
WG.
He got
Got
that
that
dog
dog
in
in
him.
him.
He
Got
got
that
that
dog.
dog.
And he says he hopes DJ Moore gets more touchdowns than he did last year and that he would be in the top 10. So echoing sentiments here.
Wow, we've never agreed more. I
Yeah.
I know for a fact that we're not going to agree on. Well,
We'll see.
yeah.
Let's
we'll
see here.
see.
So on their way in here to New Orleans, the first round pick, number 11 overall from The Ohio State University, Chris Olave, the wide receiver. We're all pretty high on him. We'll get to him shortly. Jarvis Landry also coming in from the state of Ohio, playing for the Cleveland Browns. He's going to slot in and really add to this receiving core here. And Andy Dalton coming in to serve as the backup quarterback for the Saints in this season. Always a good veteran to have. He's become
Sure.
he's
the
become
new
like the Matt
Fitzpatrick.
Hasselbeck for me, or Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, he's the new Fitz.
Yes. And they added a new offensive lineman in the draft as well, Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa with the 19th overall pick.
Give me them Iowa boys.
On the way out, though, Teron Armstead. They needed to
Yeah.
add that offensive lineman.
Yeah.
So within this roster, this is an interesting dynamic offense on paper here. Let's start at the quarterback position with Jameis, Andy, and Ian Book.
Yeah, so
And Taysom Hill.
Jameis, obviously, pretty much the only mentionable here. I like Jameis this year. I think
I do too.
He wasn't amazing last year. They really kept him conservative, which was so weird to see after his first few years in Tampa, where he was just chucking it everywhere, down the field to whatever team caught it. It didn't matter. He got his LASIK. You know, every time I see an interview, I actually saw a video of him today. He seems like way more mature and like happy to be playing as a starter. You know, like I feel like he has a chance to actually get it and be a valuable starter in the NFL. So for me, I think I have him QB 21. So that's like you know, depending on how many how many teams are in your league, that's a QB 2 with some upside. He averaged 17 points a game last year in standard leagues. So, I mean, that's, you know, stream worthy in some games. With this wide receiver core, the way it looks, I mean, the sky's really the limit if he can, you know, not turn the ball over.
Strong.
Yeah. I mean, the fourth, fifth, and sixth guys on this are not terrible. Like, they can play.
Kevin White.
Yeah, they actually just released him.
Never mind.
Yeah, but, you know, I think he was like wide receiver 6 for them. Another thing to mention about the schedule for the Saints, it is the 13th in most difficult terms for quarterbacks, so not too bad of a schedule. I like Jameis as a QB too. I have a 2 QB league, and he's absolutely going to be somebody I target at least for my third QB, like off the bench. If not, if I wait and he's there, I'm not afraid to have him.
How about the running backs?
Well,
how about Alvin?
The running back. There's only one to talk about. It's Alvin Kamara. So everybody's fear is the suspension. You know, a video could come out at any point and things could get bad for him, but it's really looking like it's not going to, at least for this season. So I say draft with the thought that he is not getting suspended. I have him as RB6. Last year he finished RB8, RB6 on a points per game basis, 16th running back schedule this year. So middle of the road, not too tough. It was kind of weird last year. His passing work went down. He only had 47 receptions last year after averaging, actually not just averaging, his first 3 seasons he caught exactly 81 balls each year. Last year, that was cut in half, 47 receptions, but he had 240 carries. They turned him into like a bell cow carrier. But like I said, I have him RB6. I would draft him in the first round this year, but he's going in the second round. And I mean, I think that's crazy. You're going to get crazy value if you take him in the second round.
I'm with you on Kamara. I think it's a safe play, and given how the NFL pursues litigation these days with the snail-like speed,
Yeah.
I think Alvin Kamara is safe to draft, and you know what you're going to get from him as far as output is concerned. Allen agrees. He thinks he's going to be a steal for whoever gets him.
Mm-hmm.
He believes that there may be a suspension coming mid-season. I don't think that's going to happen. I think if they let him out there week 1, they're going to let him out there week 17.
Well, it's just a matter of, again, the video. They have a video in evidence that they're not allowed to use. It's inadmissible. So it's like it has to get leaked online or something. And even then, you probably won't be able to do anything about it in court. His lawyers are like top of the line, dirtbags. So they'll push the case back as far as they can. And they'll do their job. That's what they're there to do. Let's be honest. That's what they're there to do.
2-bit bus bench lawyers. That's right. All they are.
Mark Ingram is the backup. I would not draft him. If Kamara gets hurt, depending on what's out there on the waiver wire, maybe bid on him. But I probably wouldn't even pick him up, honestly.
Let's dive head first into this receiving core.
Yeah, it's absurd.
We're gonna start at the top with Michael Thomas, and then work our way down to all the other studs that they have on this. Where are you on Michael Thomas?
So Michael Thomas has a.
Is he gonna be wide receiver 1 at the end of the season?
Overall, or on this team?
On this team.
I guess it depends on how many games he plays. So very parallel to Christian McCaffrey is Michael Thomas, I would say. They've basically both essentially missed the last 2 seasons. But in 2019, he finished as wide receiver 1, 23 points per game. He has been said to be looking like exactly like his old self, fully healthy, but he did tweak a hamstring already. And when Mike Evans tweaks a hamstring compared to when Michael Thomas tweaks a hamstring, 2 very different tweaks in fantasy players' minds.
That's right.
Nobody thinks it seems to be serious. I have him at wide receiver 24. I don't have where his ADP is right now.
I got you.
Okay.
They have Michael Thomas on Roto 78.
That's just, I mean, if you could get him 78th overall, that's probably like your second bench receiver. So like, that's just, depending on how you draft. If you have a couple safe wide receivers by the time Michael Thomas comes around you, I think 6th round is plenty late enough to take him if you believe in him. If you're afraid of the risk, just walk away from it. But this guy, we've seen it. He is absurdly talented, and I don't think I'll be afraid to draft him this year, depending on, obviously, again, depending on how my draft earlier goes. What's Alan thinking about Michael Thomas?
The main one to take a chance on is all he has written for Michael Thomas.
So I'm assuming I don't know if means on this team. So
yeah, that's.
I asked him about Chris Olave. He said he was unsure. So I'll talk about Chris Olave.
Talk about Olave, because Alan wrote nothing on Chris Olave.
Right. Well, I asked him about it before we got on. He's my wide receiver 41. Could be higher. Okay. Maybe could be lower. Absurd downfield threat. And this isn't just an Ohio State fan being biased. I don't really do that. Otherwise, I would have Michael Thomas and Chris Olave in the top 15 because they both went to Ohio State, which is now kind of turning into wide receiver U. You know how Miami,
Ain't that the truth?
I mean, the receivers coming out of Ohio State are ridiculous.
Wait till next year's draft.
I know. And Smith and Jigba, Jesus. Okay. So Olave, absurd downfield threat. And if Carmichael and Dennis Allen want to let Jameis Winston open it up a little bit and let him go down the field like he used to, Olave's going to be open. He was one of the most dominant downfield threats in college football getting open last year, besides Jameson Williams. The only problem with Olave is he's never proven to be that good after the catch. Like, his catches are usually, he's kind of like Mike Williams for the Chargers. He goes up and gets it deep, and then that's it. The play's over. We go run another one. He's a good route runner. He's got great hands, and he was taken 11th overall. So I gave that stat earlier about if they were taken 10th in the top 10 of the drafts, they've usually finished as a top 30 wide receiver. I think 11th is enough to adopt that stat for Chris Olave. Like, you don't take him 11th overall and not use him. That's basically all I'm saying with that stat. So wide receiver 41, I think, is very fair. I would definitely strive to draft Chris Olave this year.
And what about Jarvis Landry, the new signing from Cleveland?
I'm actually interested to see how he fits in this offense. I have him at wide receiver 53. He's one of those safe floor guys for me. He's going to be a chain mover. I would only really have him in PPR. I don't see him getting much more than like a handful of touchdowns, which would be fine, but you don't know when they're going to happen. Whereas like with other receivers, you can kind of expect more consistent touchdowns. He'll be a bench receiver you can trust to throw in there and get you 10 to 12 points. Maybe he'll have like a good game, 18 points, and get you, something nice.
Yeah,
but
if the gap between Olave and Landry's ADPs is about 27, so if you can get about,
actually, I have him closer than that. Well, just at the wide receiver position overall.
Yeah, overall ADP 110 to 130, 138.
So I have Olave 98th overall.
Okay.
And then I have Landry 129. So almost 30 spots. So it's pretty close.
They have him 110 and 138.
Okay, there you go. I'm right there. Look at that. Oh my God.
So I think if you see Olave go and you don't get him, if Landry intrigues you at all and you see 3 rounds split, it's going to be good value at that point.
Well, there's nothing wrong with taking him. I mean, he kind of, especially where he's going. I mean, he reminds me of like the reason I wouldn't get him is because somebody like Jahan Dotson is going in the 14th and 15th round. He's going to be the wide receiver 2 for Washington. He's going to be an underneath threat who catches 6 to 8 passes a game. He's going to be like a good PPR guy, which I think kind of is where Landry fits. Right. So like, I don't need to waste a pick. Like, guys I have around Jarvis Landry, I have Rondale Moore 5 spots ahead of Landry. I would way rather take a chance on Rondale Moore in the 12th round than I would on Landry because he's safe. Guys behind him, Julio Jones, George Pickens is behind Landry. Like that guy is a freak. I would love to throw a dart at him. But again, if you're looking for that safe guy, maybe you took a lot of upside guys that don't have a safe floor throughout the draft. Landry's a fine pick. I think he's fine. Not exciting, but fine.
Any dark horses within this receiving core otherwise, besides Thomas, Landry, Olave?
I mean, let's say Michael Thomas goes down. I need to look at this depth chart. Can you actually? Do you have it up?
I have it up. Yeah.
Read some because Deontay Harris, is he still there?
Not on this list currently. I have
Marquez Callaway. I mean, we've seen him do that. We've seen
Deontay Hardy.
Hardy. Huh.
Harty.
Yeah. Harty.
Harty. Yeah. Traquan Smith.
Still chucking along there.
Yeah.
Traquan Smith. If anybody got hurt here, Landry or Michael Thomas or even Olave, I think Callaway's your guy. Like, I almost would probably rather in an injury situation between Landry and Callaway. I'd probably go Landry, because you know what you're getting. But like Callaway, he had some games last year when freaking Trevor Siemian was playing at quarterback, he was catching bombs. So
the current depth chart reads as follows. It goes Thomas, Landry, Olave, Callaway, Traquan Smith, Deontay Hardy, Kirk Merritt, Dejon Dixon, and Rashid Shaheed.
So I swear I think Kirk Merritt, I might not be right on this, but I thought he was like some lacrosse or rugby player that came over and just started playing football and they signed him. I don't know if it's that guy, but I feel like I heard that name. There's some guy in the league.
It's possible. He was a Dolphin last year, so you may have heard that.
I don't know. I don't know if it's him or not, but there is some guy in the league.
Miami.
He just started playing football and he's in the NFL. So never give up on your dreams.
Sitting 7th on that depth chart right now.
Hey, Dream's still alive. He's on the team.
Higher than I am on the depth chart.
Tight end, again, not a spot I'm interested in. None of these teams have tight ends that I want except for the Falcons.
All right.
I know Alan's a big Adam Troutman
Finally,
guy.
you disagree on something here.
Did he say Troutman again?
He just put eyeballs next to Adam Troutman's names. Be on the lookout, kids. Be on the lookout.
He's never going to give up on Adam Troutman. Tyler Conklin. Tyler Conklin either, I guess.
If you want to hook a good tight end, the Trout man is the guy for you.
Yeah, he is.
If you want to steal that dad joke, by all means.
I might have to.
Do it.
Do the Browns play the Saints this year?
Week 16 in Cleveland on Christmas Eve.
Wow. So when me and Jordan and Miles are watching the game, I could just drop that line if he's healthy. You see that guy there? He's a great fisherman. They call him the Trout man.
Trout man.
Ugh, I can't wait to drop it. Hopefully I don't forget.
Do your kids know what a trout is?
Probably not.
All right.
If they didn't, I would just show them a picture of number 27 on the Angels, and that would be that.
While I be damned.
Wow.
Like that?
Wow. It's amazing.
All right. Well, that's 4 teams. We've completed the NFC South.
There's no more teams.
The NFC South here, haven't we?
Yes.
So that leaves but one division.
Correct.
And that would be the NFC West, which will be recorded and discussed on Monday, ?
Correct. That should be the day. So you guys should be hearing this Tuesday morning for the NFC West, which has some fantasy valuable guys in it.
Absolutely
they're all over the place. And then, we'll go from there. We'll let you know what the schedule looks like after that, but we'll be done with the previews. If you guys want to see anything, comment below if you're watching the YouTube. If not, if you're doing audio only, go over to the YouTube, leave a comment on something, because we have a couple open show slots before the year starts. Hopefully Bob will be able to join us. I love doing the season preview, and I know you want to be there for that. So
I'm an X's and O's man. You know that.
Yeah. So we always do our full season preview. That's definitely on the docket. Maybe not. That could be next week's show or the week after. Mm-hmm. We'll fit it in, but I love doing that one. That one's a good one. But yeah, that's it. Let us know, and we'll be seeing you guys on Tuesday again.
Yeah, I thank you all for listening. I'll be on it sporadically this year as I'm re-registered as a student, and we'll be
potentially
student athlete.
He's the next J.R. Smith.
Yeah, I'm going to be walking on at Youngstown State here as a wide receiver.
No, play golf like he did.
I'd rather play football.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right. Well, we thank you all for listening to just splice Allen in. Just put him in. Don't worry about me. This
is the ending. This is the ending. I'm not